The rescue. Marcus wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag, squinting at the massive cargo hauler that had broken down just outside the mining colony on Kepler 442b. The twin suns were setting, casting strange purple shadows across the rocky landscape. He had been the colony's chief mechanic for 3 years now, fixing everything from atmospheric processors to personal vehicles, but this particular job was giving him trouble. The hauler's fusion drive had completely seized up, and the diagnostic readings made no sense. Energy signatures were all wrong, like something had interfered with the core systems from the outside. Marcus crawled underneath the massive vehicle, his portable work light cutting through the gathering darkness. That's when he heard it, a low, pained whimper coming from somewhere nearby. Marcus froze. Listening carefully, the sound came again, weaker this time. He grabbed his light and followed the noise, moving away from the hauler toward a cluster of jagged rocks about 50 meters away. The whimpering grew louder as he approached. Behind the largest boulder, Marcus found something that made his breath catch. An enormous cat-like creature lay trapped under a fallen piece of mining equipment, its left hind leg crushed beneath the heavy metal beam. But this wasn't like any earth animal he had ever seen. The creature was easily the size of a large leopard, but its fur was pure white with pale silver spots, and its eyes glowed with an otherworldly blue light. "Jesus," Marcus whispered, setting down his light. The creature's head snapped toward him, those luminous eyes fixing on his face with an intelligence that seemed almost human. Instead of growling or trying to flee, the animal simply watched him, as if waiting to see what he would do. Marcus approached slowly, keeping his movements calm and deliberate. "Hey there, big guy. Looks like you're in a real mess." The creature's ears twitched at the sound of his voice, but it didn't try to attack. Up close, Marcus could see the animal was definitely not native to this planet. Its bone structure was too elegant, too refined. The proportions were slightly off from any Earth feline, with longer limbs and a more streamlined body. The mining beam pinning the creature's leg was part of an old excavation unit that had been abandoned near the dig site. It must have fallen during the last windstorm. Marcus examined the situation carefully, running his hands along the beam to find the best leverage point. The creature watched every movement, occasionally letting out soft sounds that almost seemed like communication attempts. "All right, I'm going to try to lift this thing," Marcus said, talking to the animal as if it could understand him. "It's going to hurt when your leg comes free, but I need you to try to pull it out when I give you the chance, okay?" The creature's blue eyes seemed to focus more intently on Marcus's face, and it made a sound that was almost like a purr mixed with a chirp. Marcus took that as agreement. He positioned his portable hydraulic jack under the beam, the same tool he used for lifting heavy vehicle components. The jack whined as it slowly raised the massive piece of equipment. The creature tensed, sensing what was about to happen. "Now!" Marcus shouted, and the animal immediately pulled its damaged leg free from beneath the beam. It cried out in pain but managed to drag itself several feet away before collapsing again. Marcus rushed to examine the injury. The leg was badly damaged but not completely shattered. He had basic medical supplies in his toolkit, nothing fancy, but enough to stabilize the wound until he could get the creature proper help. "I'm going to need to splint this," he said, pulling out emergency bandages and a small medical scanner from his kit. The creature watched calmly as Marcus worked, occasionally nuzzling his arm with its massive head when the pain became too intense. As Marcus worked, he noticed something extraordinary. The creature's injured leg was healing faster than should be possible. Not completely, but the bleeding had already stopped. And some of the swelling was going down. Whatever this animal was, it had some kind of accelerated healing factor. "You're not from around here, are you?" Marcus asked, securing the splint with practiced efficiency. The creature made another one of those musical chirping sounds, and Marcus could have sworn it was trying to answer him. With the leg stabilized, Marcus faced his next problem. The creature was far too large for him to carry back to the colony, and he couldn't leave it out here alone. The nights on Kepler 442b were brutal, with temperatures dropping below freezing and predators that made Earth's worst carnivores look like house cats. Marcus made a decision that would change his life forever. He jogged back to the broken hauler and grabbed every warm blanket and emergency supply he could find. Then he set up a temporary shelter right there among the rocks, using the hauler's cargo tarp and some metal supports. "Looks like we're camping out tonight, big guy," Marcus said as he arranged the makeshift camp. The creature watched every movement with those incredible blue eyes, and when Marcus finally sat down beside it, the animal carefully moved closer, seeking warmth and companionship. As the twin suns disappeared completely and the alien stars emerged in the sky above, Marcus found himself sharing his emergency rations with a creature that shouldn't exist on this planet. The animal ate carefully from his hand, its rough tongue surprisingly gentle against his palm. "I'm going to call you Ghost," Marcus said, watching the way the creature's white fur seemed to glow in the starlight. "Because you're like nothing I've ever seen before." Ghost made a pleased rumbling sound and rested his enormous head on Marcus's leg. That night, Marcus barely slept. Every few hours he checked Ghost's splint and gave the animal water from his emergency supplies. Ghost seemed to appreciate the care, often touching Marcus gently with his nose or making soft vocalizations that sounded almost like words. When morning came, Marcus was amazed to see how much Ghost had improved overnight. The creature could actually put some weight on the injured leg, though it still limped heavily. More importantly, Ghost seemed to have decided that Marcus was trustworthy. Marcus rigged up a travois using parts from his toolkit and some cargo netting. Ghost seemed to understand what it was for and allowed Marcus to help him onto the makeshift stretcher without any struggle. The journey back to the colony took most of the morning. Marcus pulled the travois while Ghost rode calmly, occasionally making those musical sounds that Marcus was beginning to recognize as different types of communication. When they finally reached the outskirts of the colony, Marcus realized he had another problem. The mining colony had strict rules about alien fauna, especially predators. Bringing Ghost into the settlement could result in serious trouble, possibly even deportation back to Earth. But looking into those intelligent blue eyes, Marcus knew he couldn't abandon the creature now. Ghost had trusted him completely, and Marcus wasn't about to betray that trust. Marcus made another life-changing decision. Instead of taking Ghost to the colony medical center, he brought the creature to his own quarters, a small prefabricated unit on the edge of the settlement. His living space was modest but private, with enough room for both of them. Over the next several days, Marcus cared for Ghost like a devoted nurse. He cleaned the wound twice daily, changed the splint, and made sure the creature had plenty of food and water. Ghost's healing continued to amaze him. Within a week, the leg was almost completely healed. But more than the physical recovery, Marcus was fascinated by Ghost's intelligence. The creature clearly understood complex instructions, responded to his name, and even seemed to learn simple words in human language. Ghost would bring Marcus his tools when he was working on small repairs in his quarters, always selecting exactly the right item. Marcus began to suspect that Ghost was more than just an unusually smart animal. There was something almost sentient about the way Ghost observed everything, as if he was studying human behavior and technology with genuine scientific curiosity. The secret couldn't last forever, of course. 2 weeks after the rescue, Marcus's supervisor came by for an unexpected inspection and found Ghost calmly watching Marcus repair a communication device. "What the hell is that thing?" Supervisor Chen demanded, backing toward the door. "His name is Ghost," Marcus said calmly, not looking up from his work. "He's injured and needs care." "Marcus, you know the regulations about alien fauna. That creature could be dangerous. Could carry diseases we don't understand. You have to report it to the xenobiology team immediately." Marcus finally looked up, meeting his supervisor's eyes steadily. "No, sir. I don't think I will." The confrontation that followed would set everything else in motion. Because what Marcus didn't know yet was that Ghost wasn't just an intelligent alien animal. Ghost was something far more extraordinary, something that would soon turn Marcus from a simple mechanic into one of the most important humans in the galaxy. The Discovery. The xenobiology team arrived at Marcus's quarters 3 hours after Supervisor Chen's report. Dr. Sarah Martinez led the group, accompanied by 2 security officers and a containment specialist. Marcus had expected this, but he still felt his heart racing as they approached his door. Ghost seemed to sense the tension. The great white cat positioned himself between Marcus and the door, not aggressively, but clearly protective. His blue eyes had taken on a more intense glow, and Marcus could feel a strange tingling in the air around them. "Mr. Torres," Dr. Martinez called through the comm system, "please open the door. We need to examine the alien creature you've been harboring." Marcus looked down at Ghost, who was watching him with those impossibly intelligent eyes. In the past 2 weeks, their bond had grown stronger than Marcus had ever thought possible with an animal. Ghost understood him in ways that defied explanation, and Marcus had come to trust the creature completely. "What do you think, Ghost?" Marcus asked quietly. "Ready to meet some new people?" Ghost made a sound Marcus had never heard before. A series of musical notes that seemed almost like language. Then the creature did something that made Marcus's breath catch. Ghost moved to Marcus's workbench and, using his nose and paws with incredible precision, activated Marcus's personal communication device. The device powered on and immediately began displaying complex mathematical equations on its screen. Not random numbers, but sophisticated calculations involving quantum physics and space-time geometry, equations that Marcus recognized from his engineering training but had never fully understood. "Ghost," Marcus whispered, staring at the display. "How did you—" The door chimed again, more insistently this time. Marcus made his decision. He opened the door and stepped aside, allowing the xenobiology team to enter. Dr. Martinez stepped through first, her scanner already active and pointed toward Ghost. What she saw on her readings made her freeze in place. "Impossible," she breathed. "These biosignatures, this creature isn't just alien. Its neural activity is off the charts. The brain structure is showing patterns more complex than most sentient species we've encountered." Ghost calmly approached Dr. Martinez, moving with graceful confidence despite his still healing leg. He sat down directly in front of her and made the same musical sound sequence he had made for Marcus. Dr. Martinez's scanner began going crazy. "The creature is generating some kind of electromagnetic field. These patterns, they look almost like—" "Language," Marcus finished. "He's trying to communicate." As if responding to Marcus's words, Ghost moved back to the workbench and began manipulating the communication device again. This time, instead of mathematical equations, he brought up star charts. Specifically, he displayed the local star system and then zoomed out to show a region of space about 40 light-years away. "He's showing us where he came from," Dr. Martinez said, her scientific excitement overriding her caution. She approached the workbench slowly, watching as Ghost continued to manipulate the display with remarkable precision. Ghost highlighted a specific star system and then began displaying what looked like technical schematics, ship designs but unlike anything in human databases. The vessels were sleek, organic-looking, with propulsion systems that seemed to bend space rather than push through it. "Mr. Torres," Dr. Martinez said, never taking her eyes off the display. "How long has he been able to do this?" "This is the first time," Marcus admitted. "But he's been incredibly intelligent from the beginning. He understands complex instructions, responds to his name, even helps with my repair work." Ghost made another series of musical sounds, and suddenly the communication device began translating. A synthesized voice spoke clearly. "Thank you for helping Ghost. Ghost was Scout. Ghost's ship damaged in asteroid field." Everyone in the room fell silent. The security officers instinctively reached for their weapons, but Dr. Martinez held up her hand to stop them. "You can understand us?" she asked carefully. Ghost manipulated the device again. "Learning your language through observation. Ghost has been studying Marcus and colony transmissions. Ghost's people need to know humans are good." Marcus felt a surge of pride and wonder. "Your people? There are more like you." The display changed again, showing images that made everyone gasp. A vast space station, clearly of alien design, orbited a distant planet. The station was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, with thousands of ships moving around it like busy insects. "Ghost's people are called the Kalen. We are explorers, scientists, peaceful traders. We have been watching human expansion into this sector for many cycles. Some Kalen believe humans are dangerous, aggressive. Ghost was sent to observe and report." Dr. Martinez exchanged glances with her team. "First contact situations were supposed to be handled at the highest levels of government, not in a mechanic's quarters on a mining colony." "Ghost," Marcus said, "why didn't you tell me this before?" "Ghost was injured, vulnerable, needed to learn if humans could be trusted. Marcus showed kindness to injured stranger, asked nothing in return. This tells Ghost much about human nature." Marcus felt a strange mix of emotions. He had genuinely cared for Ghost as an injured animal, never suspecting he was caring for an alien scout whose report could influence the relationship between two species. "What will you tell your people about us?" Dr. Martinez asked. Ghost began displaying new images, pictures of Marcus treating his wound, sharing food, staying up all night to watch over him. Images of the mining colony, showing humans working together, helping each other, building something positive on a harsh alien world. "Ghost will tell the council that humans showed mercy to stranger, that humans build rather than destroy, that humans can be trusted as allies." One of the security officers stepped forward nervously. "What if we hadn't found you? What if Mr. Torres had turned you over to authorities immediately?" Ghost's blue eyes seemed to dim slightly. "Then Ghost would have reported that humans treat unknown creatures as threats to be contained or eliminated. The council would have recommended avoiding contact with humanity." The implications hit everyone simultaneously. Marcus's simple act of kindness toward an injured animal had potentially saved humanity from being classified as a hostile species by an advanced alien civilization. Dr. Martinez was frantically taking notes. "Ghost, how advanced are your people? What kind of technology do you have?" The display changed again, showing incredible images. Cities that floated in the clouds of gas giants, ships that could travel between stars in days rather than years, medical technology that could heal almost any injury or disease, agricultural systems that could make any planet habitable. "The Kalen have traveled the stars for thousands of your years. We have seen many species rise and fall. We offer knowledge and friendship to those who prove themselves worthy. We defend ourselves against those who choose aggression." Marcus felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was happening. "Ghost, what happens now?" "Ghost must return to the council and make report. If council accepts Ghost's recommendations, they will send diplomatic mission to establish formal contact with humanity. If not..." Ghost let the implication hang in the air. Dr. Martinez was already thinking ahead. "How long until your people come looking for you?" "Ghost was expected to report back within one of your months. That time is almost past. If Ghost does not return soon, the council will assume Ghost was captured or killed by humans. They will send warships instead of diplomats." The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. Marcus looked at his unlikely friend, the alien he had nursed back to health without knowing he was potentially saving his entire species. "Then we need to get you home," Marcus said firmly. "What do you need?" Ghost manipulated the display one final time, showing the wreckage of a small spacecraft buried in a canyon about 20 kilometers from the mining site. "Ghost's ship is damaged, but repairable. Ghost has been studying human technology through Marcus's equipment. Human engineering principles are similar to Kalen methods. With proper tools and assistance, ship can be fixed." Dr. Martinez looked at her team and then at Marcus. "Mr. Torres, it looks like you're about to become the most important mechanic in human history." Marcus grinned, already mentally cataloging what tools and materials they would need. "Well, Ghost, looks like we've got work to do. Let's get you home and introduce your people to humanity properly." Ghost's blue eyes seemed to brighten, and he made a sound that could only be described as alien laughter. The real adventure was just beginning. The Alliance. The Kalen ship was unlike anything Marcus had ever worked on, but the principles were surprisingly familiar. As he crawled through the crystalline corridors of Ghost's damaged vessel, he marveled at how alien technology and human engineering could share so many fundamental concepts. 3 weeks had passed since Ghost's revelation, and the mining colony had been quietly transformed into humanity's first extraterrestrial diplomatic site. Dr. Martinez had managed to keep the situation classified while bringing in a small team of specialists. The official story was an archaeological dig, which wasn't entirely false. Ghost had proven to be an excellent teacher. Through their makeshift translation system, he had guided Marcus through the ship's biomechanical systems, explaining how living crystal matrices could store and channel energy more efficiently than any human technology. "The quantum resonance chamber is responding," Marcus called out from deep within the ship's engine compartment. "Ghost, try the navigation system now." Above him, Ghost's claws clicked against the crystal control surfaces with practiced precision. The ship hummed to life, its walls beginning to glow with soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Navigation online," Ghost's translated voice echoed through the ship. "Communication array is functional. Ghost can now contact the Council." Marcus emerged from the engine compartment, covered in a fine crystalline dust that shimmered in the ship's light. Over the past weeks, he had learned to read Ghost's body language and expressions. Right now, his alien friend looked nervous. "You worried about what they'll say?" Marcus asked, settling down beside Ghost in the ship's central chamber. Ghost made a series of soft chirps that Marcus had learned indicated uncertainty. "Ghost has been away for a long time. The Council may question Ghost's judgment about humans. Some Kalen believe any species that fights wars among themselves cannot be trusted." Dr. Martinez entered the chamber, carrying a datapad filled with information about human culture and technology that Ghost had requested. "Well, let's give them something impressive to think about," she said. Over the past week, the hastily assembled human team had worked with Ghost to prepare a comprehensive presentation about humanity. Not just the good parts, but an honest assessment of human nature, including their capacity for both great kindness and terrible violence. "Ghost," Marcus said, "I want you to tell them the truth about us. Don't hide the bad stuff. We're not perfect, and pretending we are would just make things worse later." Ghost's blue eyes fixed on Marcus with that intense, intelligent gaze that had become so familiar. Marcus understands wisdom. Truth builds stronger foundations than pleasant lies. The communication system activated with a sound like wind chimes made of starlight. Suddenly, the chamber filled with holographic projections of alien figures that made Marcus's breath catch. The Kalen Council members were beautiful and terrifying at the same time, tall, graceful beings that looked like elegant cats crossed with something ethereal and otherworldly. When they spoke, Their voices came through the translator as a harmony of different tones, like a choir singing in mathematical precision. "Scout Ghost who walks between stars," the central figure said. "You have been silent for many cycles. The Council fears you have been lost to the void dwellers of this sector." Ghost stood with obvious ceremony, his posture shifting into something formal and respectful. "Honored Council, Ghost lives and brings important news. The species called humans are not void dwellers. They are potential allies." A ripple of what might have been surprise passed through the assembled council members. Marcus could see why Ghost had been nervous. These beings radiated an authority and intelligence that made him feel very small and young. "Explain your assessment, Scout." "Our long-range observers report that humans wage war constantly among themselves. Their expansion into space has been marked by territorial conflicts and resource disputes." Ghost activated the presentation that Dr. Martinez and her team had helped prepare. Images of human history began flowing through the chamber. Wars and conflicts, yes, but also acts of incredible courage and compassion. Humans risking their lives to save strangers. Scientists sharing discoveries freely. Artists creating beauty for no reward except the joy of creation. "Ghost was injured in asteroid field," Ghost began, and then told the council the complete story of his rescue and recovery. He showed them recordings he had made of Marcus working tirelessly to heal him, asking nothing in return, risking his own safety and career to protect an unknown creature. The council watched in silence as Ghost displayed images of the mining colony, showing humans from dozens of different nations and cultures working together peacefully on an alien world. Children playing together regardless of their parents' origins. Scientists collaborating across cultural boundaries. "Humans are complex species," Ghost continued. "They can be violent, yes, but violence is not their nature. It is fear response. When humans feel safe, when they are not threatened, they choose cooperation over conflict. Ghost has observed this repeatedly." One of the council members leaned forward, their ethereal features showing what might have been skepticism. "One human's kindness does not speak for entire species, Scout. How can we be certain these humans would not turn aggressive once they possess advanced technology?" Marcus felt his heart hammering as he realized this was the crucial moment. Without being asked, he stepped forward into the holographic light. "Because," he said, looking directly at the council member who had spoken, "we're already starting to outgrow our violent phase. Every species probably goes through this. We're learning that cooperation gets us further than competition." The council members turned their attention to Marcus, and he felt the weight of their ancient wisdom examining him. When they spoke, it was directly to him. "Human Marcus who heals strangers, why did you risk yourself for Scout Ghost?" Marcus thought about the question seriously. "Because he was hurt and alone, and I could help him. I didn't know he was intelligent, didn't know he was important. I just saw a living being in pain, and it felt wrong to walk away." "Even though helping Ghost could have brought you punishment from your own people?" "Especially then," Marcus said firmly. "The right thing to do doesn't change based on whether it's convenient." Another council member spoke. "Your species fights wars over resources, territory, ideology. How is this different from other aggressive species we have encountered?" Dr. Martinez stepped into the light beside Marcus. "Because we also fight wars to stop wars. We fight to protect the innocent, to preserve freedom, to prevent genocide. Yes, humans can be violent, but we're also the species that will risk everything to save a single stranger." Ghost added his own voice to the discussion. "Ghost has studied human communications, observed their art and literature. Humans constantly question themselves, constantly strive to be better. They create stories that teach compassion, build laws to protect the weak, develop philosophies that value life above all else." The presentation shifted to show human achievements in space. Not military conquests, but scientific missions. Humans sending probes to distant worlds not to claim them, but simply to learn about them. International space stations where former enemies worked side by side. Most convincing, Ghost said, is human response to discovery of alien life. When humans found microscopic life in their own solar system, they celebrated. They created protocols to protect it. When Ghost revealed true nature to humans, they did not try to capture or experiment on Ghost. They asked how they could help Ghost return home safely. The council deliberated in their musical language for several long minutes. Marcus could feel sweat beading on his forehead despite the ship's perfect climate control. The future of humanity's place in the galaxy was being decided right now. Finally, the Central Council member spoke again. Scout Ghost who walks between stars has provided compelling evidence. The Council will authorize a formal diplomatic mission to establish contact with human leadership. Marcus felt his knees nearly buckle with relief, but the Council member continued. However, this authorization comes with conditions. Humans must prove their wisdom by establishing peace among themselves before they can join the greater galactic community. We will provide limited technological assistance and cultural exchange, but full alliance must be earned through demonstrated maturity. Ghost looked at Marcus and Dr. Martinez. The Council offers fair terms. Will humanity accept this challenge? Dr. Martinez nodded firmly. We'll take that message to our leaders, but I think you'll find that working toward galactic citizenship will give humanity something positive to unite around. The council meeting concluded with formal ceremonies and the exchange of cultural gifts. Marcus presented Ghost with a small mechanical sculpture he had made from spare parts, a human and a Kaelin standing together. Ghost gave Marcus a living crystal that would allow limited communication across interstellar distances. 3 days later, Marcus stood beside Ghost's repaired ship as his alien friend prepared to depart. The great white cat had healed completely, but Marcus knew he would miss Ghost terribly. "Will I see you again?" Marcus asked, running his hand over Ghost's soft fur one last time. "Ghost will return with diplomatic mission in 6 of your months," Ghost replied. "Ghost has specifically requested assignment as cultural liaison. The Council believes Ghost understands humans better than any other Kaelin." Marcus grinned. "I'll keep working on that peace thing while you're gone. Maybe humanity will surprise you." Ghost made the sound that Marcus had learned was alien laughter. Ghost believes humans will surprise everyone, including themselves. As Ghost's ship rose into the alien sky and disappeared among the stars, Marcus felt a profound sense of change settling over everything. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their first step into galactic civilization had been taken by a simple mechanic who had chosen kindness over fear. 6 months later, when the Kaelin diplomatic mission arrived to find that humanity had indeed begun the long process of putting aside their differences to work toward the stars together, Marcus was there to greet his old friend. Ghost emerged from the lead ship, now wearing ceremonial crystals that marked him as an official ambassador. The first words out of the translator were, "Hello, Marcus." Ghost told the council that humans would not disappoint them. Ghost was correct. As Marcus looked up at the fleet of beautiful alien ships hovering peacefully over Earth, filled with beings who had chosen to see humanity's potential rather than its flaws, he realized that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could indeed change the entire galaxy.